Brana Records is a label dedicated to restoring the wonderful rare recordings by the Polish-Brazilian pianist Felicia Blumenthal. As well as recording well-known masterpieces such as the piano concertos of Grieg and Rachmaninoff, Felicia Blumenthal championed neglected early 19th century piano composers such as Clementi, Kuhlau, and Czerny, as well as solo piano music by Spanish and Portuguese Baroque composers. She enjoyed a relationship with leading composers such as Penderecki and Villa-Lobos. His fifth piano concerto was dedicated to Miss Blumenthal, which she performed under the composer's baton with the leading orchestras of Europe and recorded for EMI in Paris with the Orchestre Nationale. Her appearances in South and North America brought her further acclaim. Many of these wonderful rare recordings are now released on Brana Records, and all CD covers feature the beautiful artwork of Felicia Blumenthal's husband. I was delighted to receive one of these recordings in the post. Her shimmering piano playing and her beautiful artistry shines through, and I'll definitely be exploring many more of these recordings. If you'd like to find out more about the work of Brana Records and how you can support this wonderful project, then please go to branarecords.com, where you can find out more about the recordings and purchase them. Another wonderful album that I would definitely recommend listening to is the debut album of Mike Ladouceur. Mike Ladiser is an award-winning American composer known for working on blockbuster movies such as Ad Astra and Mission Impossible Fallout, as well as the BBC hit TV series His Dark Materials. On the 17th of April, Mike's debut album Between Worlds was released, featuring 42 of London's top musicians. The music was recorded at Angel Studios and is published by Warp Publishing. This album was designed as a multi-art form immersive experience featuring bespoke videos and album artwork. Each video presents space scenes from NASA's satellite photography and stunning landscapes taken on Earth from drone footage filmed by Philip Whiteman. The album artwork has been created by Nick Denman using the automatic drawing process. It's a series of paintings with acrylic and charcoal on canvas. Mike also teaches at London's Royal College of Music and the University of Cambridge, where he teaches the film music curriculum at both undergraduate and master's levels. I talked to Mike last week via Zoom, and we discussed some of the ways that online teaching can benefit music students during this current time, and how digital technologies can also benefit composers during this period. In particular, Mike has a Twitch channel, which is very, very relevant for the kind of work that he does. We also discussed the importance of narrative and individuality within a composer's voice, something that's very much at the heart of Between Worlds. We also talked about the creative process behind the album and the collaboration between other narrative media. Mike is very keen to expand this album into other art forms such as ballet. Many thanks to Jonathan Tester for putting me in touch with Mike and making me aware of Mike's wonderful work. And many thanks to Mike for taking the time out of his very busy schedule to talk to me. So how is isolation treating you?
Yeah, it's been, it's actually been a sort of fortunate kind of time period,
Yeah.
in that, things have, I think, sort of, it was, I guess, just that it was the right time in that I was planning on releasing my album around this time anyway. My initial plan was to go out to LA
Yeah.
and to kind of do a physical launch out there. But it sort of worked to my advantage to focus just on the digital release, and kind of take advantage of the fact that people are home and looking for entertainment. So I think the launch has actually been quite successful, and it allowed me the time to just dig into that completely. And it was also, sort of just fortunate with a couple other projects and things that had wrapped up right before this lockdown. So in that regard too, it just allowed me to clear the deck and put things into perspective.
It must be really nice for you actually with the sort of work that you do that you're able to actually work and create and come up with new ideas.
Yeah, it's I think it's also given the time. I think a lot of people have talked about finding a positive spin on it and that sort of
Yes.
thing. I think for me that has really been it was the right time for me to anyway kind of reassess, like, what is my next move? And along with the timing, I've just signed a publishing deal with Wart Publishing, and that was sort of something that was in the works for quite a while. And the fact that it kind of happened all right at the same time as the release, it's just kind of felt right, and it now gives me means to be able to sort of take a step back, focus on, okay, where am I moving forward to next, rather than previously, I think I was in more of a position where you kind of have to take certain work and, just kind of chug along and take particular gigs. But so with that time, I've been able to kind of assess and figure out, okay, these are sort of my next moves.
And how's the teaching as well going? Because I know that term has officially started, so it must be quite a different way of working for you and the other students as well.
Yeah, it's I think most of it has moved to digital.
Maybe there's not too much of a difference because most of the work that they have to submit is coursework based. So,
Yeah, for my students, not to kind of bore with details of the specifics of what things have to shift. In general, it's kind of moved to more online teaching, which in some cases I'd already been doing, and I think it's sort of opened up new ways of approaching this, where what I found is sort of delivering lectures remotely actually has some advantages rather than to do it in person, where I don't feel I miss the interaction. Actually, in some ways, it's better because you can record it and you can also have a sort of group chat going, things which can all then be archived.
mm,
And I can also more easily share my screen, and operating out of my own studio, then I'm able to use my full equipment and to sort of share sessions of things that I'm working on. I think it's sort of opened up a lot of ways of how we could kind of go forward, and some advantages to doing this. Where thinking, how can we actually bring these tools into the classroom to do it in person? And I think specifically, with sort of recording lectures and classes in such a kind of complete way, where previous to this, it was mostly someone putting up a kind of voice recorder to just record what you're saying in class. um, but now you can have a sort of full transcript of a chat and video and all of these things. So I think in those ways, it's made things better. There's also been some challenges, with realizing kind of who has access to certain physical equipment and that kind of thing
mm.
that shifts. So there's some challenges, but I think again, it forces us to think towards, okay, what sort of, maybe remote solutions can we come up with for the future? Such as sort of making workstations remote accessible. And I think it's even in sort of meetings and that sort of thing, having Zoom meetings or Windows Team meetings, that sort of thing is kind of easier for everybody and is a more efficient way of doing things. So yeah, I think in it's not all bad, but that's, I think, specific to working with sort of composition for screen. There's a lot of tools and tech that's kind of emerging out of this, and sort of developing a bit further because of this. So I feel quite positive about it. I think it's sort of only going to enhance the teaching experience. And it's made me think of ways in which I could be a teacher sort of beyond a couple universities, specifically in these classrooms, and how I can kind of open up my educational resources to more